I think about death quite often. I think about death every day. You may question if one can really live if one is always thinking about death, and I think you can, because death isn't the opposite of life, it's a part of it. Without life, there cannot be death, and without death, there cannot be life. They go hand in hand. It is a very taboo subject, but because my channel does revolve around these types of things, I thought, why not make a video on the subject today? Let's talk about death.
Good old-fashioned slice of pizza, huh? Look at that.
Sing us a song to keep us warm. Yeah, such a chill, such a chill.
I'm someone who has pretty bad death paranoia, so randomly I think that I'm just going to perish every few months. It's something that's very irrational, but it is something that I have to deal with. I found the best way to deal with this type of paranoia is to just get familiar with the concept of death. However, the more that I studied it and the more that I got involved with the concept of death, the more questions I had and the more I thought about it every single day. So we're going to be talking about all of my thoughts today, and I would like to know yours in the comments. This is going to be a discussion video, so feel free to talk about it in the comments. Sound good? Great. The first time I thought about death, I was 4 years old, and I was in my childhood garage drawing on a chalkboard with chalk, and randomly it hit me that I was going to die one day. It's a very vivid memory that I have. I know for a fact I was 4 years old. This was right before I went into preschool, and as I'm just drawing on this chalkboard, the realization that death was going to come for me eventually hit me. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I just realized that, wow, I'm going to die one day. And I didn't think about it too often after that until I was 12, and I thought someone in my family is going to pass away. And the fear that I had for that person was so immense that I started thinking about my own death and whether or not I would be one to die young or not. I truly think if that person had passed away at that time in my life, if I had lost him during any of my teenage years, that would have been the end of me. I genuinely do not think I would have been able to go on. I see so much of myself in him, and he's saved my life in more ways than one, and I don't really talk about that much, but it's true. I'm not scared of death. I'm not particularly looking forward to dying. I don't look forward to the day that I perish. I value life. Life is extremely precious. The only reason why life is precious is because of death. And death is something that we all have in common, but we're so scared to talk about it. It's a taboo subject. I feel like there's many times I want to talk about it with my older relatives and people that, I know have that on their mind, but because they have that on their mind, I feel like it is a touchy subject to bring up with them. But the fact that this reality isn't forever for everyone is crazy. When you pass away, things continue on. People will live their lives, and eventually everyone is going to forget about you. Somewhere out there, there's someone that is spending their last day on Earth not knowing that tomorrow they're going to die. Maybe they're watching a movie, maybe they're spending the evening having dinner with their family, maybe they're on a first date. but they're going to die tomorrow. I think if there is some sort of afterlife and we can choose what to make of ourselves in the afterlife, I would really love to be a guide of death. I would want to be able to sit with those people who have no idea their death is coming and just be with them on their last day and witness their life on their last day before the end of their life. Last week, I had that reoccurring thought that, wow, there's going to be a child, a young woman, an old man, and they're not going to know that tomorrow is going to be their last day. And the day after I had that thought was when those 2 children were murdered in Minneapolis in a church. All of us, all humans, think about, why does that happen? Why does death have to happen to kids? Why does death have to happen to the innocent? Why does a bad thing have to happen? And though death is not necessarily evil or bad in itself, the fact that someone's life can be taken from them so quickly is a morbid thing. We don't know what happens after death. We have religion, we have theories, we have many things that comfort us, but we really, at the end of the day, have no 100% proof of what the fuck happens after death. If nothing happens and the only experience that those 2 children had was the life they had on Earth before they were fucking murdered, that's so scary and that's horrible, and that's why it's so disgusting that humans are capable of taking the experience of life. If nothing happens, if that's it, if that's curtains closed, black, dark abyss, nothing, then those children were robbed of ever having any other experience in the life they had on this earth. And the fact that someone took that from them is disgusting and cruel. And of course, once again, the only thing we have to give is our thoughts and prayers. And before I get any comments saying that I'm disrespecting faith, prayer is dead without action, and that is said in the Bible. I don't think that there is nothing after our life on Earth, but I have no idea what is on the other side. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, so wherever our energy goes is where I think our next experience is. But that's all I really have to pull from that. Death isn't just the end of our lives on Earth. Death happens in season, death happens in relationships, death happens to the plants and pets and our chapters in life. It's everywhere. It's embedded in life. Like I said, it is not the opposite of life. It is everywhere. I wrote a poem today, and before anyone groans, it's very short. I think it's like 4 sentences. As the final leaf from the petalless rose bush fell to the dirt, I still chose to hold on to the thorn stems, as the pain from the wound was still better than feeling nothing at all. So this poem is my feelings about a specific event that happened in my life a few months ago. It was a death of a relationship. And while I was in the grieving portion of that, I had the realization that I would rather feel the suffering that I did, and I'd rather feel the sadness and feel the anger and grief than to feel nothing at all. Because suffering and feeling is something that you can only experience when you are alive. But we as humans are so quick to find ways to stop those feelings any means necessary. I think we get comfortable with the feeling of being dead. So we shouldn't be afraid of it, technically. Right? Because we're already so comfortable with the feeling of nothing, of numbness, of being absent, of being drawn away. Then why are we so afraid of death? It's because you'll never be able to look into your parents' eyes again. It's because you'll never be able to have a fight with your sibling and rip the article of clothing away from your sister because she keeps taking it from you. You realize you won't be able to ever hear your brother play the guitar again. You'll never be able to water your plants, sneeze, take a bite of your favorite food. All of those experiences are taken away from you forever. And I think that's at least one of the reasons. Oh my god, there's a fly in here. Death to the fly! It's also the fear of the unknown, I realize, and that's where religion comes in. It's the way we are comforted by not knowing what happens after our death. I could die tomorrow. I really hope I don't, but it's possible. One day I was sitting in the park with my friend, and they looked to me and said, "Isn't it crazy while you're sitting here on this bench, your soulmate is out there at the same time as you, living their life, like walking their dog, or maybe doing a homework assignment, or maybe they're giving themselves a really bad haircut. They're just living life." And I looked to them and I said, "That's not true. I could die before I get married. I could die before I meet the love of my life. It's not certain. At all. At all. And I do want to get married. I do want to live to an old age. I want to have a long, good life, but it's not certain at the end of the day. Like, all those Pinterest boards and like, oh, who would my bridesmaids be and who would be my maid of honor? All of that planning could be for nothing because I could die next month. I could never meet my husband. I could never graduate from college. I could never make my first appearance on a Broadway stage. I could fuck up all my dreams just because my life ended. I would leave my family in grieving. I wouldn't have a legacy to leave. It would just be the end of my life. And I think that's, the reality for the majority of the population, but for some reason we all assume it wouldn't be me. I feel like I'm gonna at least live long, but sometimes you don't see the car coming. Sometimes you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and my friend wasn't holding the knife that way, or I wasn't supposed to get cancer. I'm healthy. I'm a healthy person. Why, out of everyone on this earth, do I have cancer? What did I do to make God punish me? What did I do to die at such a young age? What the fuck does anyone do to deserve death? Death isn't evil. Humans are evil. That's a subjective opinion, but I truly think that human nature is at least naturally evil. So maybe we all do deserve death. But what do I know? Someone out there is getting tortured right now. Someone out there is having their blood spilled. Someone out there is having their home burned down to the ground. And I think you know very well what specific examples I'm hinting at. And that's where we comfort ourselves with the thought that the evil will go to hell and the good will go to heaven. But that's just one theory. Do you know how many religions there are? A lot. Way more than there are countries. Way more. And I don't think that there is one right religion. I think that every religion is a puzzle piece to the answer in some way. Then again, all religions could be wrong, and we're all wrong and dumb, and we're just trying to comfort ourselves for death. Life isn't necessarily a lead up to death, but you have to go through life and experience to be able to get to it regardless. I'm very glad that I can feel pain. I'll never feel pain again after I perish, so it's cool that I get to feel that now. And people who say live every day to the fullest, but some days I just want to sit on my ass and eat a chocolate bar on the couch, okay? And that's me living my day to the fullest for that day. I shouldn't have to skydive and take a shot of pufferfish piss to feel like I'm living life on the edge and living life to my fullest. I know what my long-term goals are. I know what I want to accomplish, but I don't really think more than a year ahead because I could perish. Not only me, but I could lose my best friend, I could lose my sister, my brother, my dad, my mom, my grandparents, and one day I will lose all those people if I don't go first. But that doesn't make death cruel. Life is cruel. Life is cruel. I think that's why I find myself leaning towards more darker things, more taboo, more death, because I think that is where a lot of light actually lies, and that's where I find a lot more comfort. Because light, human nature, and life are where the scariest things lie. So why are we getting tricked into being fearful of death when life has been proven to be the one holding the knife? The scariest thing in life isn't death or torture or anything dark. It is life itself. And I think the reason why we still hold on to the stem of the rose bush is because even though that is the truth, we would still rather feel something than feel nothing at all. But then again, what do I know?